Are you tired of spending too much on Azure? Well, I'm going to talk you through a bunch of tips and tricks to help you get your Azure costs down. Hi. In my job, I deal with millions of dollars a year in Azure expenses. My experience with Azure extends back to its launch 15 years ago. I work with my customers to help their Azure solutions scale. Today, we're going to look at my personal Azure account to see how I manage Azure costs. Let's jump in and take a look. Okay, so if you come into the Azure Portal, down on the left-hand side here, you can see Azure Cost Analysis. So if you click that, it's going to come up like this. It's going to pick a month. I've selected this to a single a full year so that you can see all of the data because I don't have a lot of Azure usage personally. So if we come down here and have a look, we've got a sort of area chart showing how much we've been spending through that year. And it's an accumulation chart by default. So you can see we started spending a lot more, a lot faster during February and March, and then it leveled back out, and then it got a bit faster again towards the end of the year. The next thing I'll call out is by default, it's broken up by your resource groups down the side here. And these are all of these three donut charts down the bottom are in order of size. So Synapse Test here is the biggest resource group in terms of cost, and then the next one and the next one. And you can also see that on this donut chart. The thing I'll call out here is when you're looking at your costs, typically I never go beyond the first three costs in terms of size. By the time you get down to the fourth one, normally you've hit the law of diminishing returns, and it's not worth your effort. Like the effort costs more than the savings, unless you've got your costs are really enormous. So the second donut chart shows us what region stuff's deployed in. This is quite useful if you're, say, deploying in the US and Australia because you have sales in the US and you have sales in Australia to see comparatively what sort of the infrastructure spend is. And then the final one is it tells you which of the Azure services, actual Azure services, is costing you the money. So you can see here I've been spending a fair bit in Synapse Analytics, a bit in API management, and a bit in Service Bus. So if I was to say select this Azure Synapse Analytics, what you'll notice is it goes away, has a think about it, and it's going to bring up only my Azure Synapse Analytics usage. And you can see that was pretty much in February and March. I didn't really spend much outside that time. So once I've filtered down to something and I've had enough, I have to come back up to the bar up the top here, and I can unselect and it'll go back to showing everything. And we can actually accumulate several filters if we've got something that's been used in multiple places. So if I wanted to say I only want the Australia Southeast and the B2C testing, you'll see I've now got two filters up here. So pretty much what you've seen here is almost all you have to do to figure out where your spending's going. Typically after this, the trick is working out whether you can turn that down, whether you needed that resource in the first place, or whether you can make changes to your application to consume less and therefore save money that way. So there's another couple of things that I'll call out here. If we look at this view, there's a bunch of drop-downs under here. And the other useful one, in my opinion, is this cost by resource one, the second one, because this gives you, once it comes back, an itemized list of all the things that you're spending money on. And if we pick one of the storage accounts, that's really good because you can see exactly which bits of the storage account are costing you all the money. So storage accounts is actually a very good example here because often people say, my Azure storage costs me an enormous amount, but I'm not actually using very much storage. And they come and open this up and they go, oh, it was the bandwidth, or it was the operations, which is all of the reads and writes They cost you money, not just the actual storage itself. So these tips have helped save me enormous amounts of money in Azure. I hope they work out for you too. This has been Bryden Oliver for SSW TV. See you next time.